Hello everyone, and welcome back to Florida. I'm here with Artemis, and I don't know if you've heard about this great guy, but as one of my followers, and I'm speaking to you right now, even if you know me or not, I have a lot of questions about children. And with my clients, bless their hearts, the mothers are now having to work on themselves. You know, they have to fix themselves. They have to get healthy, not only for themselves, but for the baby, for the whole family. And one of the problems that they run into, or one of the fears, or one of the obstacles, or one of the experiences that needs a little clarification maybe, or at least education and knowledge, is how to not only raise a child on a healthy diet, which we see as a living food diet, high fruit, natural primate species diet that we're actually designed to eat, to stay healthy and to thrive. It's also what to do when you're already a mother, you're breastfeeding a child, you're not yourself healthy. How do you wean the baby? What do you put them on? How do you go about that? Because there's a lot of fear around it, and understandably, from where society is today, these young women does not have a lot of support, number one. Number two, not that many that has yet had that experience that you're bringing forth as a father, and a light being of sharing the same that I. So that's one thing I want, you know, of course him to introduce himself, but I want you to know that he speaks my language. I mean, we're from the same place. We're meeting you today from Punta Gorda, listening to Dr. Morse, going back to the source, going back to that good feeling of community, seeing how we grow and thrive by going back to nature.
And our children deserve this as well.
They deserve it.
You know,
you deserve it.
Yeah, I've been a practitioner of the healing arts for 16 years. I conceived my son consciously with my wife.
Amazing.
It wasn't an oops. We planned him. My wife and I had been 90% raw and vegan for 10 years before we conceived.
Wow.
So we did a lot of work on our bodies. Not every woman has that luxury, and follow this woman because she'll help you wherever level you're at. And so we did some of that preparation work, and because of my background, my training, my discernment of truth, and that's why we follow great teachers like Dr. Morse, is because they know the truth.
Yes.
My wife and I were mostly raw all throughout the pregnancy. My wife never had any pains. She had a beautiful pregnancy. First trimester, third trimester.
Okay, stop right here.
Yeah.
Listen to this, man. Listen just to that. Do you see all the suffering while pregnant?
Yeah.
Just to start there.
Gestational diabetes, bloating, pain, nausea, you know, all
complications.
These things. All these things are preventable if you clean your body up, or you just start eating more live foods.
It's natural to be pregnant.
Yeah, so my wife was doing melons and berries and fruit smoothies and juices and salads, and we were 90 to 100% raw. We would eat some cooked foods now and then, but it was just in the fall and winter. During the spring and summer, we were all raw, and then I had a lot of herbal support, and we birthed our son at home with 2 midwives, and we chose a home birth because we had faith, we had knowledge. Some moms will do it in a birthing center or hospital. Wherever you do it,
and that's okay. Just
stay empowered.
Yeah.
Just keep your power in your hands. The reason we chose a home birth was just because we had so much faith and understanding of the natural birthing process. And then the 2 midwives were there. It was a 7-hour labor. It was there was music, essential oils, coconut water, angels, doulas, midwives, and we set up the perfect stage. Our son was born. Frankincense at the birth to bless him, and he came into this world suckling on her breast in 30 seconds.
Wow.
He was so neurologically.
Did you bring your picture of him?
I did.
I want you to show him.
He was so neurologically hooked up, and that was because of the fruits and vegetables. The fruits are the most highly electrically charged, most neurologically activating foods, and he was getting all this raw living energy in the womb at gestation. And that's important, that you are what you eat and your baby becomes what you eat.
And that's what I think, you know, to pause a little bit right there. This couple did exactly what you need to do to be a responsible parent. You need to go into the state, you know, if you could choose before you get pregnant. See, that's a lot, you know, that's the key.
There's my little boy right there.
Look at that. And this little beauty is carrying the genes of the
There he is.
parent,
In the mud,
you know?
playing in the mud. Yeah, so
This is a healthy
From
2-year-old
thriving.
fruit.
Never had
Fat.
never had ear, nose, and throat infection. Never had rashes. Never had colic. Like all these things we take for normal
Yeah.
is actually signs of toxicity,
Yeah.
or infection, or just a mother who hasn't prepared her body temple for pregnancy and birth. And
Yeah.
actually, Heidi, in ancient India, in Ayurveda and Chinese medicine,
Yeah.
which I'm trained in both systems.
Yeah.
Back in those days, they weren't raw, but they understood preparation. And the royalty of China, the Taoist sages and herbalists would work with the royal families, and they would prepare the mother's womb in blood. And in India too, there was sometimes 1 to 2 years of preparation and consciousness before the woman.
I was going to say, it's a spiritual journey.
It was a
This is
spiritual-
all about the spiritual journey.
Yeah. So we had a lot of that, and then when my son Orion was born, he was breastfed only on breast milk for 6 months. Between 6 and 12 months, you know, there's a lot of different philosophies out there. So you really have to find your truth when it comes to breastfeeding and weaning. And right between 6 and 12 months, we let him choose the fruits we were going to bring in. And his first food was avocado. And when in my scientific research, I found that avocado, a high-fat fruit, is the closest food to breast milk of all foods. Breast milk is 1% protein, 7% fat, medium-chain fatty acids, and the rest of it's water. And then there's, of course,
So
micronutrients
your
in between.
little boy knew this.
Yeah, he knew it. And then we took him to blueberries. And then we took him to just mono meals. And it was just
Yeah.
avocado mono meals.
Natural
avocado
way
mono-
of eating.
And we let him choose. Like, we didn't say, here, you need to eat this. Because that's a mistake with our children. When they come into this planet, they're hooked up.
I know.
They know what they need.
And I have little ones around myself too, but that's my grandchildren.
Mhm.
And I put them, and especially the first one, in front of everything that everybody else on the table was eating.
Yeah.
And all she wanted was my food, meaning fruit. That's
Yeah.
all she wanted was the fruit. And even today, if I see children around and there is a multiple choices of, you know, food presented that
Yeah.
I don't control, I always ask them, you can have this.
Yeah.
You know, if it's dinner, you can have melon for dinner. In
Yeah.
our society, that it isn't seen as a full meal.
Yeah.
I always give them the choice. You can have that as dinner, and
My
I've
son
never seen them
loves
turn
melon.
it away.
My son loves melon. And for anyone watching this video, if you
Yeah.
have a mother, if you know a mother, share this video with them, because
So important.
my family is living proof that the fruits are the foundational food for our children. And let's talk a little bit about the science of how the baby's GI tract form. Like, how long should you breastfeed? Well, minimum 12 months up to 2 years is a good time, because the GI tract of a baby is leaky. And every baby's born with a leaky gut. And when colostrum comes in the first 3 days, that colostrum engages the child's mucosal membranes and the immune system of the child. And then this little bed of mucus starts to form. And as the mother's breastfeeding, the beneficial probiotics start to line that GI tract. It takes from birth until 6 months for the GI tract to close and become fully whole. And that's when you start to see coincidentally, you start to see the skull plates move in. Because there's a direct connection between the small intestine
Oh
and the
yeah.
hair.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're losing your hair, you've got a gut issue.
Oh, yeah.
You need to get your gut healthy. So between 6 and 12 months, that's when all the other information is coming in. All the information to build the gut colony, to build the immune system, to build the DNA. There is an energetic and physical transfer of so much nutrition and so much love moving from mom to baby that 12 months is a good set time. And then between 12 and 2 years is really up to you. Because after 12 months, you don't really need, the child doesn't need any more, because the gut's already formed, and then the baby's gotten all the bacteria it needs.
Okay, Artemis. See, this is the trouble that I see. The thing is this today, that the world is so messed up. The mothers are so messed up or lymphatically congested
Yeah.
that they're sick. So
So
we're
they may not be
seeing
producing
sick,
breast milk.
right? Or they are
Yeah.
producing milk that might not be optimal for the baby because
Yeah.
it's so imbalanced and it's so full of toxins.
Yeah.
And that's where I see my clients really need the guidance, because now they're in a situation where breastfeeding
Could be
is
toxic.
actually more toxic it's toxic,
Yeah.
period. Going off is not toxic, whatever be toxic. But
Yeah.
they need to wean off earlier than they would have in the perfect world
Yeah.
where everything so The question is now, when the mother has been breastfeeding for 4 months and she really needs to take care of herself, number one, the milk is not optimal for the baby, then listening to Dr. Morris, I mean, he tells us we can go to fruit or coconut water almost instantly. I mean, you can raise a baby on coconut water. It will be, you know. So I want the security to reach these moms today that are in the situation that they're listening to this because they're sick.
Yeah.
That, or they have a baby that's sick,
So
that
moms-
needs to detoxify. But
Yeah.
the mothers, obviously I'm not gonna put them on a very heavy detoxifying protocol while they're breastfeeding.
Right.
You know, because we think about the baby, even though you can take herbs, you know, some of them, not heavily in lymphatics or anything like that, all depending on where you're at, where you come from. Don't do anything of this at home until you speak to a practitioner, you know, to be guided.
You make a really good point there, Heidi, because if
Yeah.
you're a mom asking, is my breast milk toxic? Oh no, I don't want to pollute my baby.
No.
You need to see a practitioner
Yeah,
to assess
you
where
do.
you're at.
But first of all, you need to stop the you need to start breastfeeding, number one, for the baby's sake. Number two, for your sake. Because if you don't take care of your health, when you are what they call cancerous or you going downhill, that baby's not going to have a mom. And nothing's worse than
Mama, take
worse
care of
than
yourself,
not really. Take care of yourself before you take, you know, so you can take care of your baby for the rest, you know, of your life. So this is my question to you.
What does a mom do?
When a mom is scared and uneasy about stopping breastfeeding, but she has to take care of herself, so she has to do that. How to wean and what to go to. Say all the way up to like 4 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Like what would you see as a typical, because this is society also, you know, it's society. I even see people, and I talked to one mom and I said, you know, that's a good idea. You can make milk, you know, from like hemp milk or something like that. Put it in a bottle if you're going out. And I always to the point where I said, you know, just do that because you don't get all those questions.
Yeah.
It's white, it's like milky, you know, or you can take coconut water and blend it with a little bit of coconut meat. And, you know, that will give you more fat, which will be beneficial for the baby. So I'm thinking if you're in line with that type of thinking, like coconut water with coconut milk, you know, in the very early stage and light.
So if it's somewhere between
Diluted fruit juices maybe, and
the one thing you want to study is the teeth chart and how the teeth come in, because this is all scientifically based. That as the teeth are forming, it denotates which foods they're ready for.
exactly.
So it's really only fruits for the first 12 months, or coconut water and coconut meat, which is still fruit.
But the infant, you could go with coconut water.
Coconut water by itself,
fruit juices.
or a young Thai coconut blended into a coconut milk.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would also do a little bit of greens powder. A
Okay,
little bit of powdered greens, like a teaspoon.
Get some more amino acids
Just for
in
the
there.
calcium. And also keep in mind that a lot of babies are having teeth problems today. A lot of mothers are having depression and postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And that's
Is it
thyroid,
how- it is.
parathyroid.
It is.
And so bringing in the high water fruits for the breast milk production, but also bringing in the greens and the green powders for calcium, magnesium.
Yeah.
And we found that my wife did really good with 2 green drinks a day with a high fruit raw diet.
Interesting.
In addition, when you're making these meals for the baby, blend them first.
Yeah.
Always blended is better than whole for the first 12 months. So you can make mango puddings, blueberry puddings.
Very good to know. So 12 months is your
Blended
recommendation
is better.
for blending.
Yeah, blended
How
is better.
about this theory that when they're old enough to seek something, grab for it and pull it to their mouth? Are they old enough to then use their gum or teeth or whatever to kind
As
of
long
chew
as it's
on
fruit.
it? As long as it's fruit.
As long as it's a mono meal.
Yeah.
And it's
mom,
and
see,
it's
that is
small
what I
and it's
see
small enough
very important.
and it's small enough for them to gnaw on, because you don't give them big whole mangoes. You're going to give them berries.
You are.
Cut
you are.
fruits.
A little bit of pieces.
Yeah,
They can
cubed
suck on it.
mango,
Yeah.
you know, grapes, things like that.
Yeah, and very point. Let's talk about monomealing. Why? Let's talk about digestion, and you know that's the whole thing. We are monometers. I think all species actually are. You know, some of the primates that may pick a little green here and there and play with it, but we eat mono. You know, we eat in season. That's what we're supposed to do. Your digestion is going to need, you know, different sets of enzymes. They're going, you know, going to produce the acid even changed. I mean, everything changes from the minute you put something in your mouth. Your whole digestive system gets, you know, alerted and happy and excited to be digesting that food until you put so many different things down there.
It causes bloating. It causes fermentation.
Of course, because what is it going to do? Is it going to go to the nuts? Is it going to go to the fruit? Sugar? What is it going to do? It can only take care of so much. So instead of the digestion running smoothly, you're putting the body into an alert of a crisis almost.
One thing I like to tell my clients when they're adopting more fruits and vegetables, and particularly fruits for cleaning.
I thought he was going to say they were adopting, not me. No, you
I mean,
can
when they're really learning how to eat like a human. Okay, mothers, pretend like you're Eve in the garden, and you're surrounded by a fruit forest, and you've got a little bit of vegetables underneath you, like herbs, but it's mostly fruit.
Yeah.
And you just birthed your baby. You're gonna go to the berry bush. You're gonna go to the mango tree. You're just gonna go to these fruit trees.
And they look so good. And
you're gonna be
so good.
eating from the earth, one meal at a time.
Yes, you are.
So when we're talking about a baby whose GI tract is still forming, from conception, from birth until 6 months, and from 6 to 12 months, it's still very delicate. It's very, very delicate. So we want to put just the foods that we would find in the gardens, and we want to eat the foods like we would be eating them from the trees or the bushes or the vines. And then also, because we have blenders and juicers, blending is good.
You know, and you know that's interesting because you said blended, and then people could say, well, you know, that's not natural, and da-da-da-da, we have that equipment. Yes, and I just thought about it. If you see in nature, you see so many species. Look at some of the birds. They actually chew and almost swallow and then gurgitate to get back up, and then they feed the children.
Yeah. They're blending
So that's how they do it. They blend it, then they spit it out.
It's pre-digested.
See?
And when we're detoxing people, we're teaching them to do a lot of blended because it takes less energy to digest.
Exactly.
So our children are so sacred. They deserve the best foods on the planet, the ripest, richest, whole organic fruits, vegetables, and no vegetables until they have molars.
Yeah.
Really, because that's when
and they're not going to want much of it.
No.
I tell you, who would want to chew on kale or anything like it when they're used to living on mangoes and oranges and
grapes
melons
and
and berries?
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing.
Yeah.
You're not only getting them, you know, back to where they're supposed to be eating wise. You're getting yourself healthy. You're producing a healthy world. You are in service from teaching that child, you know, how to take care of itself.
Yeah.
Because this is our future. And the good news is, even though you handed down those genes and your stuck lymphatic system and your weaknesses, they will detoxify very quickly
and
when
regenerate.
They're so young and regenerate.
And
so
build a new
you
body.
are allowing them to rewrite your bad genes.
Absolutely. They're starting to heal from the inside out, the head down in reverse order.
I know.
And they bring in the fruits. Even some of the tinctures are safe for children. The glycerin tinctures.
Most of them actually are. It's all about the dosage. Most of them are safe.
Very safe.
You just have to know, work with a facilitator, work with someone
with
like
the
us
coach
that
who's
has
trained,
that, you know, knowledge and also experience. But this talk and this topic has so many levels. Because we're talking about healing, and we're talking about the practical, we're talking about the future, we're talking about
Mothering and
rewriting,
caring.
mothering and caring, we're talking about the spiritual. Because when you take a child into a path which excludes toxicity to the level that you can. I mean, you can't turn off chemtrails. You can't, you know, stop breathing outside.
You can't live in a bubble.
No.
Yeah.
So you have to do the best with what you have, but you have to be aware. Just, you know, as a closing, we could easily visit vaccines in this discussion if that's where we wanted to go. If we wanted to say you can never vaccinate your child, blah blah. I could never go out and say that, but isn't it obvious to you that, you know?
Start with whole living foods.
Yeah.
Bring in the botanicals. Bring in your coaching. Bring in your programs.
Yeah.
What you need to be successful, Mom, if you're watching this, is a system, support, and accountability. And bring the garden into your house. Bring in the ripe fruits, the melons, the
and
berries.
bring in the trust, and bring in the faith. Bring in nature. Bring in your own spirituality. Because it's about when you awaken, when you start your own detoxification path, then you are going to be the one that, you know, we're all here as one. But when you bring children into this world, you're seen as a guide, and you are a guide. You've taken that responsibility upon yourself as a mother and a father to be the one that this child looks to for guidance for X amount of years.
Yeah.
And it's our responsibility to do the damn best we can with that.
Yes.
You know, and what a gift it is, and what an honor it is. And what an honor it is to meet you.
Thank you.
To be able to talk to you.
Yeah.
And to be able to
been there,
be
I've done
a
that.
part of this,
Yeah.
you know, awakening.
Yeah.
And because of people like you, more and more people are going to be confident enough educated enough
Yeah.
to do what you did.
And who
People are
knows?
looking to people who did. They
Yes.
want
I did it.
experience.
Yeah, I did it.
It's easy to
Yeah.
read a book.
And the proof is in the vitality and the
Yeah.
vibrancy of my son. Like
Yeah.
us being raw, him birthing him
Yeah.
at home, and then raising him on raw foods. I see a son without vaccines, without confusion, without brain fog, without colic, with vibrancy, health, sleeping better, thinking
In this
better,
ADD,
clearer.
ADHD world.
None of that exists anymore.
I know. When
Yeah.
I grew up, which is like decades ago, there was no, at school,
None of these
nobody
symptoms.
knew what asthma was. Nobody knew what
Yeah.
diabetes was. We had nothing.
Yeah.
I remember we had one girl which we called fat or larger.
Yeah.
You know, like that was
And she probably had a lot of self-esteem issues or something, you know, a lot of emotional stuff.
that's like the only issue you could meet back then,
Yeah.
you know. And that's just to say how important it is as a mother. Why am I saying this? Because it's the genes that has gotten worse and worse for each
Yeah.
generation.
It's time to change
On
it now.
top of course, all the GMOs and the extra the toxicity of the world has just been,
Yeah.
mind blowing. But it's not only that. It's we just continue to eat and
Yeah.
then to stress. And then to get iPhones and everything that we're doing online, you know?
And the change starts with our mothers.
Yeah,
It starts
it does.
with
And the
starts with-
fathers.
And the fathers, yeah. And
the fathers. The fathers need to step up. Like you see, that's another thing.
Yeah.
It's a mother's responsibility is like a token. It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But the father, can choose how present. See, I heard you talking and you said we.
Mm-hmm.
We did this. We got pregnant.
Yeah.
We birthed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the energy
Yeah.
that the child needs embodied,
Yeah.
around
For
his
sure.
whole being.
Yeah.
And we've been in a very spiritual session today, also going into the non-gender world, where you really aren't,
Pure consciousness, yeah.
we really aren't male or female. We're
No.
just here in a male or female
Body.
body experiencing that right now in this lifetime.
Yeah.
It's all about your spirit and about who you are. And I
Yeah.
think for the young new families to embody that as well and leave all that stereotype,
Yeah.
what the male does and what the woman does, and just, come together in unity.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for having me today.
Well,
I
thank
really
you for
appreciate it.
coming.
Yeah. It's great to see all
Namaste.
you out
Yeah.
there.
We can
Yeah.
always do better. When we know better, we can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Namaste.
Yeah, bless you.
Bye.